Is this not beautiful? I'm right now stood in Mallorca. This is my favourite spot. We were staying up there, and I just found this spot, and it's just a place where no one else comes because there's no tourists here. But if you go to the beach, it's full of them. Anyway, I wanted to make a video now. This is from the heart. This is about reinventing yourself. You can reinvent yourself as many times as you want in your lifetime. Now, this might come at a bit of a shock for people, people that might be on the verge of reinventing themselves now, but they're scared about taking action. And then you find this video and you think, wow, this might just be that video that pushes me over the edge. Now, you're talking to someone. My name is Joe Butler. I've reinvented myself many times in my life. Let me tell you, first of all, I always grew up wanting to be an entrepreneur. That was, without a shadow of a doubt, what I always wanted to do. When I was young, I used to buy and sell motorbikes. I used to charge people to come and party at my house when I was like 15, charge them £1 for cans of Coke. Actually, no, when I was like 13, actually, because at 15, I was probably drinking alcohol. But as I moved into my adolescent age, when I got into then I moved into my teens, started, as I say, buying and selling motorbikes. And then as I got a bit older, I got an apprenticeship, which actually, funnily enough, I'd say dulled my creativity. I got a job working as a nuclear design engineer. And that actually completely shafted my creativity because I went into work for a 9 to 5 and I hated it because it didn't allow me to get creative. During that time, I actually moved down south, moved to Oxford, okay? And when I was in Oxford, I always wanted to set up a business, and I was down south, and I was always prepping my own meals, and I was into bodybuilding at the time a lot more. And I was like, this would be so much easier if I found a good delivery service, a meal prep company. And I thought, well, why not just set one up yourself? And there's a couple of guys that I said, I can do your meals for you. It's going to cost you this much. And they were like, well, that's interesting. We'd be interested. How much is it going to cost? I told them, and they said, all right, let's do it. Next thing you know, cut a long story short, because that's a long story in itself, I met my business partner at the time, Lubomba, a very close friend of mine, and we built a business called Prepped Foods, which was one of the hardest businesses I've ever done because it requires so much effort, okay, to buy all the meats, buy all the vegetables, buy all the ingredients, cook it all, find kitchens at good prices, box it all up, send it out, deliver it all. We did it all around Oxfordshire, and then we tried to go a bit, national. So we were sending it in boxes, but there's so many problems sending food in boxes in the UK. They kept getting destroyed and all this. And then there was problems with financial cash flow. And then the kitchen we once hired got too expensive because we'd spent all the time trying to find a kitchen and not on the marketing. So then we spent all the money on that. Anyway, did that business for about a year. It did all right, but it was a massive learning curve. And then after that, I said, right, I need to go into a business where I'm doing something full time. And then that's when I was a personal trainer. So I stayed in Oxfordshire. I became a personal trainer. I'm northern, by the way, so you can probably tell I'm not a southerner. I found it very difficult to make friends at that time because no one wanted to be friends with a northerner from Oxford. Anyway, so did that for a few years. Had a pretty successful fitness business, built my online presence a little bit, but it wasn't really big when online coaching was a thing. Then COVID hit. Everyone had to sort of make new changes in their life, as did I, and I tried online coaching. Now, at the time, I was also doing videography for myself, and I was offered by the gym I was working for to do a couple of videos of just some cinematic shooting to sort of document about the gym while it's in lockdown. At that point, I was like, well, okay, I'm trying this online coaching thing. And I thought, but I like this video stuff. And then basically, I kind of felt like I hit a time in my life where Oxford had just reached its natural ceiling for me, didn't really know where else to go with it. And that's when I decided to move to Marbella in Spain. Now, when I moved to Marbella in Spain, I actually took my video business with me. Video business, it wasn't a business at the time, but it was a concept that I could actually shoot videos and edit them. And I went to Marbella, and essentially what I did was offer loads of people videos for free while still doing the online coaching, which I was making about €1,500 per month. Not a lot of money to live off at all, just about covered my rent and my bills. But then I started offering people the videography for free. And then all of a sudden I was like, I have a passion for this. And I learned, by the way, the videography through YouTube to edit, to shoot. And then every bit of money I made, I reinvested into my camera equipment. Now, once I started to get that off the ground, I didn't have to do the online coaching, which I didn't really have a passion for at the time anyway. And then from that point, my videography business became my full-time business. And I remember I hit one month, €8,000, okay, from earning like 1,500. I was like, holy hell, I can do it. And then kind of went all in with that. But you see, during the summer in Marbella's, that's when the season is so high. You know, all the clients coming in, you've got football players I was working with like music producers, like just getting shots of their sort of their artists, and then doing some stuff with Lambos and, you know, people showing off the kind of stuff you'd expect in Marbella. And then winter hit, and I was like, wow, there's nobody here, there's no work. So what did I do? I was like, where else is popping off in the world? And Dubai seems like it's going off, like during COVID. So in 2021, at the end of 2021, I moved to Dubai with my videography business. Same thing over there. Did a couple of videos for free, but I'd already got the experience and had the network and the portfolio by this point. And I very quickly got my name out there, ran a couple of ads, met a few business leaders, got some great content for these people, and built my business. So after about 7 months, I was filming a real estate guy, and the real estate guy said to me, yeah, I just sold that apartment up there. I said, wow, how much for? And he told me the price that he sold it for. I said, how much did you make? He said, 70,000. I was like, what, dirhams? Which is about 18,000 pounds. He said, no, 70,000 pounds. I was like, holy hell. I said, what am I doing in here filming you then? And that's the day I decided to become a real estate agent. So in 2022, I packed up my video stuff and I became a real estate agent. For the first 2 years, absolutely ridiculously hard. Couldn't find my flow with it, really struggled, wanted to give up so many times. 2023, did okay, maybe, you know, I don't know, £50,000 in the year. If you know about Dubai, that's not that much money at all. I mean, 250,000 dirhams is just enough to get by. And then the year after, it went up again. And I was like, okay, just need to stick this out. And then that's when, by the way, in the background to this, I was building my YouTube channel. I was building my personal brand. And I'd not actually ever built a personal brand on YouTube before, but I started to get leads come through. And when I started to get leads come through, I was like, wow, this actually works. This whole personal branding thing actually works. So through the real estate, I started getting leads. And then through the leads, I started closing deals through my own content. But it took a while, okay? It took about a year to really get good leads and get good traction. So then 2025 came around. And 2025, I kid you not, I sold over, I think it was £50 million worth of real estate from my YouTube channel alone. And I made over 7 figures. Now, I really don't boast about that. That figure is just a reflection of how much work I did put in. It's not like I got lucky. I mean, I grinded for like 2.5 years. I deserved that. But I made that money because I kept consistent and did all the work, right? And now I'm sort of stood here and I've gone through another personal journey, a journey in which now I'm looking at, I mean, I still sell the real estate, but I love creating content around helping people, and I love, and I always wanted to set up retreats, right? So I was making this content, and a few people were like, I really like what you do, Joe. Like, do you do anything else but real estate? You know, I'm struggling a little bit because, you know, you create some mindset stuff. And I was like, I'd love to host retreats. And then in March, I went to Mexico. I went on my own medicine retreat with some guys that set it up in Tulum in Mexico. And that for me was really transformational, deep, inner spiritual work. And after that, I said, I want to set retreats up. Now, where I'm stood now is in Mallorca. It's the end of July. And at the start of July, we hosted our first retreat for my brand called Anima, okay, which I set up. And it was so successful. We had 10 people there. It was incredible. Everyone had an amazing experience. You see the testimonials on this site. And now we're doing another retreat in Austria in September. And then probably another one towards the end of the year, but maybe a bit more of a fitness-orientated one, not a medicine-orientated one, because I like to keep them a little bit, you know, different. So as you can see, I've had my fair share of reinventions. And I just wanted to make this video because someone out there might be watching this video and they might just get that spark of inspiration. And I would love to know that I was part of that. Because in this life, it's so short-lived. You don't want to die with regrets. You don't want to think, what if I did that, if I tried that, because it's about trying. And if it fails, that's okay. There were so many businesses that I did and I tried and I failed, and that's all right. Because I tried it and I learned from it, which made my next business venture better, okay? And that whole thing of reinventing yourself, it doesn't necessarily have to just be business. You know, it can be, you know, you're a certain type of way. You know, for me, I was always stressed. I was always anxious. I was always angry. And I was like, I need to do some deep inner spiritual work. I need to work on myself. I need to remove noise. I need to remove distraction. I need to remove that thought that I need to be living in a penthouse, driving a nice car, being around women, having lots of money, and I can just then actually live a more simple life, a more holistic type life, breath work, meditation, you know, watching the sunrise, watching the sunset, you know, being more calm, being more zen, doing more yoga, more movement, being more in tune with my mind and my body, and that's okay. You know, they're two completely different types of Joes. If you'd have met me in a different lifetime, you'd have seen me then and you see me now. I'm a much more calm version of myself, but it's okay. All right. This is for you. You know, this is a time where you can reinvent yourself, really think about it. And I just wanted to make this video to hopefully give you some inspiration. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and have a beautiful day.